In a world filled with noise, chaos, and fleeting desires, the path of a strong man is grounded in principle, discipline, and wisdom. Strength isn't just physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you won't tolerate, especially in relationships with women. Today, we dive into 9 actions that strong men, guided by Stoic philosophy, refuse to engage in when it comes to women. These aren't just rules. They're a way of life, a blueprint for living with integrity, self-respect, and purpose. Stoicism teaches us to master our emotions, focus on what we can control, and let go of what we can't. In relationships, this means rejecting behaviors that compromise your values or diminish your worth. Whether you're single, dating, or in a committed relationship, these 9 refusals will help you navigate with clarity and strength. From avoiding manipulation to standing firm in your boundaries, these lessons are rooted in timeless wisdom. Yet they speak to the modern man. So, sit back, reflect, and let's explore these 9 actions strong men refuse to take with women. This isn't about control or dominance, it's about becoming the best version of yourself, a man who lives with purpose and commands respect through his actions. The first action a strong man refuses is seeking validation from women. In a world obsessed with approval, likes, compliments, attention, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your worth through someone else's eyes. But a strong man, rooted in Stoic principles, knows his value comes from within. He doesn't need a woman's approval to feel complete. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Seeking validation hands that power away. It's a subtle but dangerous habit, checking if she likes your style, your words, or your choices. A strong man doesn't fish for compliments or mold himself to fit someone else's expectations. He's secure in his identity, built on self-reflection and purpose. This doesn't mean he's arrogant or dismissive. He listens, he cares, but he doesn't bend his core to please. If a woman respects him, great. If not, he doesn't waver. He knows that chasing approval leads to a cycle of insecurity, where you're never enough because you've outsourced your self-worth. Practically, this means making decisions based on your values, not her reactions. If you want to pursue a career, hobby, or lifestyle, you do it for you, not to impress. If she aligns with your path, she's welcome to join. If not, you move forward anyway. This refusal builds a foundation of confidence that attracts genuine respect, not fleeting validation. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's in our control. You can't control her thoughts or feelings, but you can control your actions. By refusing to seek validation, you cultivate inner strength that radiates outward, drawing people who value you for who you are, not what you perform. The second action a strong man refuses is tolerating disrespect. Respect is the cornerstone of any relationship, and a man guided by Stoic wisdom sets a clear standard for how he's treated. He doesn't accept belittling comments, manipulation, or behavior that crosses his boundaries. Epictetus taught us, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them." A strong man knows disrespect isn't about him, it's a reflection of the other person's character. But he also knows that allowing it erodes his self-respect. Whether it's a sarcastic jab, dismissive attitude, or outright rudeness, he addresses it calmly and firmly. This refusal isn't about ego, it's about clarity. A strong man communicates his boundaries early. He doesn't wait for repeated offenses to draw a line. For example, if a woman mocks his goals in front of others, he doesn't laugh it off or ignore it. He might say, "I don't appreciate that. Let's keep this respectful." His tone is steady, not aggressive, because Stoicism values control over emotional outbursts. Refusing disrespect also means walking away when necessary. A strong man doesn't cling to a relationship that consistently undermines him. He knows his worth and prioritizes his peace. This might mean ending a conversation, reevaluating a friendship, or even leaving a toxic relationship. The Stoic principle of amor fati, loving your fate, reminds him to accept the outcome and move forward with dignity. By refusing disrespect, he sets a precedent. Others learn how to treat him, and he attracts those who share his values. Respect starts with self-respect, and a strong man embodies both. The third action strong men refuse is playing games. Emotional manipulation, mind games, or calculated behaviors have no place in a Stoic's life. A strong man values authenticity over tactics. He doesn't manipulate to gain affection, nor does he tolerate it from others. Seneca wrote, "The greatest man is he who chooses the right with invincible resolution." In relationships, this means being straightforward. If he likes a woman, he says so not through cryptic texts or hot and cold behavior, but with clear intent. If she plays games, like ghosting to test his interest or creating drama for attention, he steps back. He knows his time and energy are too valuable for childish dynamics. This refusal requires discipline. Society often glamorizes game playing. Think of dating strategies like waiting hours to text back or feigning disinterest. A strong man rejects these. He communicates openly, not to control the outcome but to stay true to himself. If she responds positively, great. If not, he accepts it and moves on. Practically, this means setting clear expectations. If a woman's behavior feels manipulative, he addresses it directly. I prefer honest communication. Let's keep it real. He doesn't reward games with attention. Instead, he focuses on building connections based on mutual respect and transparency. Stoicism teaches detachment from outcomes. A strong man doesn't obsess over winning her affection. He offers his best self and lets the rest unfold. By refusing games, he creates space for genuine relationships, free from drama and pretense. The fifth action strong men refuse is compromising their core values. A man's principles, honesty, integrity, loyalty are his foundation. Stoicism teaches that living in alignment with your values brings true contentment, no matter the external circumstances. A strong man knows what he stands for. If honesty is his value, he won't lie to impress a woman or avoid conflict. If loyalty is his principle, he won't entertain temptations that betray his commitment. He refuses to bend these values, even if it risks losing a relationship. Epictetus said, "Freedom is not procured by a full enjoyment of what is desired, but by controlling the desire." In relationships, this means prioritizing your moral compass over fleeting desires or external pressures. For instance, if a woman pushes him to act against his ethics, say, gossiping about a friend or cutting corners at work, he firmly declines. He might say, "That's not how I operate," and stand his ground. This refusal isn't about stubbornness. It's about integrity. A strong man communicates his values clearly from the start, so there's no confusion. If a woman doesn't share or respect those values, he accepts the mismatch and moves on. He knows compromising his principles for approval leads to inner conflict and resentment. By refusing to compromise, he attracts women who align with his vision. His consistency becomes magnetic, signaling a man who knows himself and lives authentically. This creates relationships built on mutual respect, not superficial compatibility. The sixth action strong men refuse is chasing unreciprocated effort. A stoic man values his energy and invests it wisely. He doesn't pour himself into a woman who consistently gives nothing back, whether it's attention, respect, or effort. Seneca taught, "You must match time's swiftness with your speed in using it." A strong man knows his time is finite. If he's always initiating plans, texting first, or solving her problems without reciprocity, he recognizes the imbalance. He doesn't beg for attention or try to win her over. Instead, he steps back and reassesses. This refusal requires self-awareness. It's not about keeping score but noticing patterns. If she's distant, dismissive, or only engages when it suits her, he doesn't double down. He might say, "I've noticed you're not as invested. Let's talk about where we stand." If the pattern continues, he walks away, not out of spite, but self-respect. Stoicism emphasizes focusing on what's in your control. You can't force someone to value you, but you can control how you respond. A strong man invests in relationships where effort flows both ways. This doesn't mean perfection. Relationships ebb and flow, but it means mutual commitment. By refusing to chase, he protects his energy and attracts women who genuinely want to build something together. This creates balanced, fulfilling connections, not one-sided pursuits that drain his spirit. Music softens, introspective tone. The seventh action strong men refuse is ignoring red flags. A stoic man is observant, not blinded by emotion or wishful thinking. He pays attention to patterns, behaviors that signal dishonesty, inconsistency, or incompatibility and acts on them decisively. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look things in the face and know them for what they are." In relationships, this means seeing people clearly, not through rose-colored glasses. A strong man doesn't excuse repeated lies, disrespect, or values that clash with his own. If a woman shows controlling tendencies or manipulates through guilt, he takes note. He doesn't rationalize it as she's just stressed or it'll get better. This refusal starts with clarity. Early in dating, he watches for signs. Does she respect his time? Is she honest? Does she align with his goals? If red flags appear like frequent cancellations without explanation or subtle disrespect, he addresses them directly. He might say, "I've noticed this pattern. Can we discuss it?" If it persists, he walks away, knowing his peace is worth more than potential. Stoicism teaches detachment from outcomes. A strong man doesn't cling to what could be if the present shows warning signs. By refusing to ignore red flags, he protects his future self from heartache and wasted time. This clarity attracts women who are genuine and compatible, building relationships on trust and mutual respect. The eighth action strong men refuse is being someone's option. A stoic man knows his worth and demands to be a priority, not a backup plan. He refuses to linger in situations where he's taken for granted or kept on the sidelines. Epictetus said, "First decide who you would be, then do what you have to do." A strong man decides he's a man of value, not an afterthought. If a woman keeps him at arm's length, texting sporadically, canceling plans, or treating him as a fallback, he recognizes it. He doesn't compete for attention or beg to be chosen. Practically, this means setting boundaries. He doesn't tolerate flaky behavior or vague promises. If she's not invested, he focuses his energy elsewhere on his goals, growth, or relationships that reciprocate his effort. Stoicism teaches him to accept what he can't change and act on what he can. By refusing to be an option, he attracts women who see his value and choose him fully. This creates relationships built on mutual commitment, where both parties invest with intention and respect. The ninth and final action strong men refuse is fearing being alone. A stoic man embraces solitude as a space for growth, reflection, and strength. He doesn't cling to relationships out of fear or settle for less to avoid being single. Seneca wrote, "He who needs others is poor. He who is sufficient unto himself is rich." A strong man finds richness in his own company. He's comfortable with himself, his thoughts, and his purpose. Being alone isn't a failure, it's an opportunity to refine his character and pursue his goals. This refusal shapes his approach to relationships. He doesn't rush into connections to fill a void or stay in toxic ones to avoid loneliness. He knows his worth isn't tied to having a partner. If a relationship ends or a woman doesn't align with his values, he lets go without desperation. He trusts that the right person will come when the time is right. Practically, this means cultivating a full life outside of relationships. He invests in hobbies, friendships, and personal growth. He might spend evenings reading, training, or building his career, finding joy in his own progress. This self-sufficiency makes him magnetic. Women are drawn to a man who doesn't need them, but chooses them. By refusing to fear being alone, he enters relationships from a place of strength, not neediness. This creates authentic connections, built on mutual desire rather than dependency. These 9 actions: refusing validation, disrespect, games, loss of control, compromising values, unreciprocated effort, ignoring red flags, being an option, and fearing solitude are the pillars of a strong man's approach to relationships. Guided by Stoic wisdom, he navigates with clarity, purpose, and self-respect. Relationships aren't about winning or losing, they're about building something real, rooted in mutual respect and shared values. A strong man doesn't chase or manipulate. He attracts through authenticity. He doesn't bend or break under pressure. He stands firm in his principles. And he doesn't fear walking alone, knowing his path is his own to forge. Stoicism reminds us that true strength lies in controlling what we can: our actions, our mindset, our values, and letting go of the rest. By refusing these 9 actions, a man creates a life of dignity and purpose in relationships and beyond. So, take these lessons to heart. Reflect on where you stand. Are you seeking validation, tolerating disrespect, chasing someone who doesn't value you? Start small, set one boundary, make one honest choice, take one step towards self-mastery. Over time, these choices build a life of strength and fulfillment. To every man listening, you are enough. Live with intention, act with courage, and let your actions speak louder than words. The right woman will walk beside you, not because you chased her, but because you became the man she couldn't help but respect. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Stoic lessons. Now, go out and live them.